Super cool radio.
Hello, everyone. I am Matthew Thomas, and this is Super Cool Radio. I got a great show in store for you. My guest this time is part of the hard-hitting band from Michigan, who earlier at the beginning of this year released a new album entitled Frozen Summer. Please welcome Ed Williams of Misery Lane.
How you guys doing?
Thank you so much for hanging out with me here on Super Cool Radio.
Yeah, not a problem at all. I appreciate you having us on here.
And Ed is the vocalist for Misery Lane. And before we dive into this interview, I want to start with a fun question, because I know Misery Lane, even this year and last year, have been part of some really killer shows. So who are some bands you played with that people should check out?
We always try to tag all of our bands in like the we every once in a while we'll do like an update where we try to tag everybody that we've played with in like either a video or something like that. I think the last one we did was about a month ago. But anybody can check that out. It's, if you could roll down on the Facebook or go to the videos, it'll have like a little this year so far thing. And I think some of the bands that we played with that are really, really good and really worth checking out, I would have to say, I think 3DR is a band that's going somewhere. They're a band out of Kentucky that we had the pleasure of driving down to Louisville and playing with them. And it was awesome because the band who opened, I also think everybody should check out, is a band called Hopewell Fault. Me personally, I'm a huge fan of like progressive melodic death metal. Like that's my thing, is like progressive melodic death metal. So anything in kind of that even area of genre, we're talking Lamb of God. I love an old Welsh band called Anterior. They're fucking amazing. If you've never heard of Anterior, I would suggest every single person go, because that is like my favorite go-to of all time. But in any case, Hopewell Fault is on their way to doing something for sure. They are really, really good. We play with the band called Rattlesnake Mafia, who super cool dudes. Little bit different kind of style, a little bit older. We were actually talking about Motorhead, that they're actually a little bit kind of Motorhead style, a little bit older, like Pantera Motorhead style metal band. Citrus Orange, we actually just went and saw them last night in at Hamilton Street Pub in Saginaw. Just wanted to make sure we show our support for all the local bands around. Whenever we have a chance, we will go to all shows. Storm Ruler was a band that we played with at Pierre's in Fort Wayne. They're out of, I think, St. Louis, and they're kind of straight up like death metal, like Slayer, but kind of more of a show. They do a lot of theatric kind of stuff during the show. So I thought they were really cool, but I'd say all the bands we played with, anybody, if you go to that video that we've done, and we'll probably do another one at the end of the year, just to say, hey, this is now who else we've, played with. But anybody that we played with this year, okay, sorry, my dogs. Yeah, anybody that we play with, I think has been phenomenal, and everybody that we play with has always been really cool to us, and we always go and like and follow and share all their stuff too afterwards. So check them all out, man. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I know you guys have been doing very consistent shows, I think, throughout this whole year. At least, obviously Michigan, you said you obviously traveled to, I think you were just in Ohio last weekend as well. So definitely, I've heard of some of those bands. Haven't necessarily listened to all of them yet, but I've heard of Rattlesnake Mafia. I heard a lot of great things about them, so I'm definitely going to be checking them out. But now jumping to Misery Lane now, since obviously I'm chatting with Ed here. So how'd you get started as a musician before Misery Lane?
Man, I grew up in a really little town, so I didn't really have like there wasn't like a guitar center. There wasn't like, a whole lot of it definitely wasn't a whole lot of metal music going on in a little town like that. But when I started to get older, I started to get a little bit more into metal, and I realized like, man, I really like being able to sing some of this stuff, man. I thought it was really cool. So when I was 19, I joined a band here in Flint, and they were called Five Finger Bridge. They never released anything. They never did anything, but I was with them for, a couple of months, and we were working on an EP. And then, you know how bands go, like it's either a hit or miss. It's like, oh, this band's going to be great, or it's, we're never even going to play a show. And so we ended up practicing a few times, never played a show. And then I got more career oriented. I went on with a lot of different things, and kind of forgot about music for a few years until I was about 24 or so. And I was approached by somebody about joining a band in Wisconsin. I was working over there at the time, and that's kind of what started it for me. That was really my first like really serious endeavor with a band. Band was called Save the Day. It was a big cover band that had been around for many years in the area, and I was with them for a while. I don't know, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Can't remember exactly how long it was. I mean, we played mostly like double gig weekends, so we do like Friday, Saturday night every single weekend, and it all that kind of bleeds in together after a while, doing 3-hour sets twice a weekend was like, that was pretty brutal on the voice. It was super brutal on the voice, but I survived. I was young then, I don't know if I could do all of that kind of craziness now. That's it was
only a 2.5-hour set now.
Yeah, I mean, we do a half hour to 45 minutes. If somebody's like, can you guys do an hour? I go, yeah. Why don't we do like a 15-minute instrumental or something? It's just, I'm just, I'm not a young man anymore, right? So, or
you could be like Alice Cooper, like, get your head chopped off. Like, okay, he's gone for the next 20 minutes.
Right, yeah, and then I'll just come back and I'll replay that scene. Here's one for all you old people. I'll replay that scene in Sword of the Valiant, where Sean Connery puts his head back on his body. Nobody's gonna know that one. No one. They're gonna be like, Sean Connery? What? Yeah, really. Sword of the Valiant. Go check it out. It's a great movie. I watch it at least like 5 times a year. Amazing movie. But yeah, so I spent a few years in cover bands. I was kind of working on doing originals, and it was always kind of a passion of mine when I was doing covers. I wanted to do originals, and eventually I got to the end of what I wanted to do with cover bands, like just cover bands, and I started looking for something original to do. I had many auditions. A lot of people around the state actually know me from auditioning for their bands. A lot of people, they were looking for a different style, or they were looking for, more clean singing, or a different. I think a lot of music now is a little bit higher pitched than my ranges, and so I did do a lot of auditions for a lot of different people in the state, which is cool to be able to play with those bands now after having auditioned for them, and they were like, you're not quite it, but they actually found somebody, and and then being able to put shows together with them is really cool. Speaking of, there's just a little plug for a friend of mine. Bill Wessels has a band out of Lansing called I Decide I, and if anybody wants to check them out, they're having a show coming up here pretty soon. That was one of the bands I tried out for. So,
oh, nice. It's kind of fun to still make those networking you know, like, even if it didn't work out with the band, that, you know, like, hey, we can still play shows together, have fun, that, you know, everything works out. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that pretty much everybody that I auditioned for, you know, they were all really good musicians. They just, you know, looking for a different style of vocals, and as a vocalist, you have to be able to accept that, you know, not everybody's going to like your vocal style, not everybody's going to like your range, not everybody's going to like your voice. So that's just, you know, I've learned over the course of many years to just take it with a grain of salt. It's not necessarily that they don't like me as a person, or maybe they liked me as a person but didn't like my vocal style, or maybe they didn't like me but liked my vocal style. You know, who knows? I don't know. I'm kind of hard to get along with. You know, you probably ask anybody, they'll tell you that. But yeah, I mean, Bill's doing his thing. That was actually, they split off, those two bands. So the other band that split off of them was a band called Ruin. And they're playing shows around the area now, so everybody should definitely go check them out. Go check out Bill's band. There's a few others around that I think once they start getting shows, you know, I don't want to like throw them out there and be like, hey, you guys, you know. So once they start getting shows, then we'll throw out the plugs for them. But
Yeah.
we'll leave it at that. Go check out Ruin. Go check out I Decide I. Those guys are really good.
It's kind of cool, just like right now, obviously stuff's not, you know, fully, you know, open, but there's still obviously shows and stuff. But like the nice thing is that there's just so much out there, you know, obviously in Michigan, you know, because obviously I check out the Detroit and obviously, you know, the Grand Rapids area for music and everything. And there's so much music out there, from like metal to hard rock to alternative rock. There's just so much out there that anyone who likes music can find something.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a huge diversity in the entire state. You know, we've played a few you know, multi-genre shows where it's anywhere from folk music all the way up to like metal, and then some of the metal has been a lot more extreme than we are. So it's like, you know, it's that's such a high like wide range of everything at that point. But yeah, the entire state of Michigan has so many different scenes in it as far as music goes, and we, like I said, we try to get out and support whenever we can, like any shows that are close enough for us to drive to. If we're not busy, you know, everybody in the band's busy with life and work, and you know, we're trying to make stuff happen now because we're hoping on doing something big in the spring. So I'll just leave that at that. You know, we're working on some stuff.
Well, that's awesome to hear as well. That obviously, you know, obviously we were talking about this before the interview. That obviously last year was very hard on, you know, you were talking about, you know, businesses, but also venues, bands, pretty much everybody. If you lived through 2020, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
So it's nice that things are obviously, you know, happening. We have the venues are still, you know, the venues we have. I know there's some in my area, and I assume in your area as well, that have unfortunately closed due to, you know, 2020. But the ones that are holding on are putting on some really great shows.
Yeah, from what I've seen, a lot of the venues are still, they're still trying, you know, and they're trying to do it the smart way, and they're trying to, you know, make sure they have the proper ventilation. They're trying to make sure that, you know, people aren't sick when they come in, so they get other people sick. So they're trying to do it the right way. And unfortunate, you know, being a business owner myself, I know what had to be done as far as having to take an objective look at the future of your business, you know, and as a venue owner, that's a really difficult decision to make. And, you know, places like the Loft actually closed, you know, for good, or at least for the time being. And the sad part is, like, we never got to play there. So we really, the whole time we were practicing, and we were, you know, getting ready and getting everything set up. We're like, oh man, we're gonna play the Loft. That'd be so cool. And then no, it just, you know. But that's, anybody who lived through 2020 knows it was just a tough time. It was a tough time for the businesses. That's why whenever we go, we try to bring as many people as we can. We tell them, look, the bar owners, the business owners, the venue owners, they need your guys' support even more than we do. I mean, we're just starting out, but these guys have been around for years and years, and they can't keep doing these shows. They can't keep bringing us on unless they get your guys' support. So we always try to tell everybody, bring your friends, buy drinks, tip your bartenders, buy merch from the venue too, not as well as the bands, you know. So
because it's important. Obviously, music is super important, but also having a place to play music like almost regularly, semi-regularly, is also equally important to the music.
yeah, definitely is.
So we got a little bit off track talking about you as a musician, but I do want to talk about the band Misery Lane. So how did that come together, and how did you come up with the name?
In early 2020, so before really anything had, you know, like, and nobody really had an inclination that the world was about to end. You know,
Yeah.
everybody was still, you know, doing their normal thing, and early 2020, I was doing a lot of auditions around the state. I did like 5 or 6 in like a 2 or 3 week period, and you know, just waiting to get answers from people, waiting to hear from everybody. And I did one for a band out of Jackson called Cold Faction. They were looking for a vocalist and to bring something different that they hadn't done before. And they wanted me to come on. So it's like, okay, great. You know, we started doing practices, started kind of formulating a plan as far as like coming up with what type of originals we wanted to do and what we wanted to put out. And then everything kind of went crazy. You know, everything shut down. It was kind of all in the middle of it. We were still trying to do practices, but at the same time, you know, family stuff and whatever just kept getting in the way. And Ken was the lead guitarist for that band, Ken Keller. And after a few months of not really getting anywhere with Cold Faction, we just decided that instead of having to deal with everything else that was going on, that we would split off and kind of do our own thing. And I'm still friends with most of the rest of the people that were involved in the project. I think everybody that was involved in that definitely can do some stuff musically, and I really hope that they do. I really hope that they come out with some stuff, and I hope the best for all those guys. It didn't end up extremely amicably with everybody, but for the most part, it was great. But we started, Ken and I, coming up with our plan as far as originals and what we wanted to sound like and what we thought, you know, maybe people would want to hear. And it was really just ideas that Ken had that needed, you know, some sort of vocal composition. So he would just send me his ideas. And remember, this is when everything shut down. So we did a lot of stuff online, and he would record his stuff and send me his ideas. And then I would record my stuff and send it back. And then we would bounce, you know, criticism off each other. And about like a month or so after that, he just said, you know, why don't we just make our own group, you know, make our own thing instead of trying to look for something to get into or whatever. So we started thinking about a name, and Ken used to do a lot of driving for whatever company it was that he worked for. He was like some sort of district manager, so he was always like driving around to places and having meetings with customers. And I don't know, he never said a whole lot about it. I feel like he was a serial killer or something, and he just didn't want to like divulge that information so that, you know, like so that I wouldn't have to testify against him, you know, if it ever came to it. I don't know, it was weird anyway, whatever he was doing. But
did he drive a refrigerated truck?
Yeah, he did drive a truck around. So I mean, he could have very well been hiding the bodies in there. I don't know. But
sorry, I can't make it. I'm cleaning out my truck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there was a couple of times that he was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna be able to make practice this week." Well, what are you doing? Well, I've got stuff that I got to take care of. Like, he's returning some videotapes. That's another oldie that I don't think anybody's gonna get. Nobody's gonna get that one.
I've heard that one before. Or either
So,
that or I have to tune someone up. That is also what I've heard.
So he was driving around one time, and we were trying to discuss like the name, you know, trying to figure out a name. Like, we went through probably like 1,000 names, you know, just he would throw one out and be like, nah, I don't like that. I would throw one out and be like, nah, I don't like that. So we went probably, like I said, about through like 1,000 names. And then eventually he was driving around one day, and he didn't even send me the name. He just took a picture of it. And I think he said it's up by Mount Pleasant somewhere. That's where he was that day. But it literally was Misery Lane. And he was like, "Well, what do you think about this?" And like, well, that's kind of cool, I mean, we started talking about kind of the idea of it, of being able to like relate to everybody in a sense, because everybody's had to deal with hardships, and everybody's had to overcome things, and maybe everybody's been down that lane, been down misery lane. So that's where we came up with the idea, was just to be able to relate to everybody and let them know, like, our music is hopefully everything. Somebody is gonna get something out of it. Whether you're a metal fan, you're gonna get your taste of metal. Whether you're a death metal fan, I think we even have a little bit of death black metal stuff in there. If you're like a kind of I mean, definitely if you're a fan of like some of the 80s rock ballads, you might like one of the songs we have, You're Not Alone. That one's kind of 80s rock ballad type. We have some softer stuff. We do have a few covers, although we only do one of them currently live. We've got stuff in our back pocket we kind of always keep, just in case. But we do a cover of Hey Jealousy. So I think anybody that's a 90s pop fan can appreciate Hey Jealousy. And that's a little wave at a couple of the people that told us that we weren't ever going to be able to do anything. So Hey Jealousy. But yeah, that's how we came up with it. The name was basically, it was just an accident. Ken was driving by something. He thought, hey, this is cool. We talked about it, and I kind of agreed that, hey, that's a way that we can relate to people and that they can relate to us just through the name of our band. So
yeah, I do definitely like that, especially obviously the relatability with stuff. I think is very important to make a connection with the audience, to build an audience. I think obviously the name is also, it has to have some selling factor to it as well.
right.
So really awesome. But I also know, so at the beginning of this year, I believe it was February, I want to say, you guys released the new album Frozen Summer. So how was it writing and recording the album?
A lot of the writing and recording was done remote. Like I said, at the time everything was shut down. So we're trapped in our houses, with nothing to do for, somewhere around 18. Yeah, just no future in sight, right? So we literally just sat down I sat at my computer and he sat at his computer, and it would just be like just back and forth, constant. I would send him something, he would send me something, and that's really how the writing process went, was just a lot of that over days and days and days, and then it was like, okay, we're going to record it. So we set up all of our stuff in Ken's garage. He had a like really well acoustic garage. So we set up all of the mics, and we made sure everything was no background noise and everything, so that we would actually get clean recordings. Some of it he recorded in this little tiny little room behind his garage, where his like water heater and stuff was. It was probably like 6x4 maybe. I mean, it was a very tiny little room. So some of the stuff was recorded in that little fucking serial. Oh, I'm sorry. Could I say fuck?
Yeah. You already said it earlier. You're fine.
Oh, I apologize.
Go for it.
Yeah. I mean, it was fucking freaky, dude. It was a tiny little room, and I'm standing in there yelling, and it's all brick. So it was like perfect to do vocals on, because it was absolutely no bounce off of anything. It was all brick. So it was perfect to do vocals on. But yeah, it was, we did that for a few weekends until we got most of the recordings done. And then any touch-ups that needed to be done, I would just hook up my stuff at my house, or I would drive up to his, and we touch it all up. And, the writing process was kind of fairly easy, I have to say, compared to what I would think most people go through, because most people are trying to deal with everyday life. They're trying to deal with, kids and a job and this and that. Whereas at the time, with everything being shut down, it's not like we couldn't go anywhere. We didn't have a whole bunch of friends that were like, "Hey, you want to go out to the bar?" Yeah, exactly. So I don't have kids. I have dogs, as you heard earlier, because they just decide whenever they want to be annoying. But yeah, so it was a different time writing everything because, and I'm going to circle back on this one. Maybe you're probably going to ask the question already, but the title was actually because of when we wrote it. To us, it was like the frozen summer. Nobody was doing anything. Everybody was inside. There was no festivals going on. There's no going out there. You go to the store, you get your groceries, you come home, you live in your house. It was basically like being stuck in just perpetual winter, right? So for the title, we thought it was just appropriate to name it Frozen Summer.
Yeah, I really dig it. I've listened to, obviously, Frozen Summer. I really like the name behind, or the meaning behind the name. There we go. It's very interesting to hear about you guys recording it. I could just see like Ken like, oh yeah, don't mind all the blood in this tiny area. Just don't mind it.
Oh yeah, that was so weird. When I first went there, I didn't know what to expect. He said, "Yeah, I got my little studio set up so we can do the recording." I didn't know what to expect, and I walked in, and I'd been to his house before, so I was like, "Where is everything?" And he's like, "Oh, it's all in there." I opened that door and I looked in, and I was like, "So you want me to go in there?" He's like, "Yeah, close the door." Okay. So yeah, it was definitely different, and I mean, for us, we just we were doing whatever we could. I mean, studios were shut down. It was looking for a studio to record at was impossible at the time, and it was like, I mean, how much money are we going to have to put into this before anything happens in the first place? So that's why we self-recorded and self-mixed and everything. Our mix isn't exactly industry standard, but I think Ken did a pretty decent job for having, at the time he mixed and mastered all of our music. He had, I want to say about 2 months worth of practice at that point. But right now we're in the process of having that whole album remixed and remastered by an actual studio. It took us a while to get there, but it's gotten us to the point where we're like, okay, what's the next step of where we go? Well, we need to revisit what we've done, and we need to make it pop out there instead of, the lower quality, which I'm not saying anything bad about Ken and his ability to do it. I think he did a great job, like I said, for what it was. But yeah, since we released it, we've signed with Paul Crosby Management, and Paul Crosby is the drummer for Saliva. And so we've been kind of talking to him about taking things to the next level of where we need to go. And he said basically the first thing we need to do is either get some new music out there and have it professionally done, or revisit our old stuff and have that professionally redone. So we're going backwards. We're going to revisit the old stuff. We've already got, I don't want to spill too much.
You got some stuff in the works, I assume.
We do. We actually have. We pretty much have the entire second album written and done. It's just we're waiting. We're waiting for the right time. We're waiting for the right next step. You know what I mean? And that's what I was saying about Paul, is he's trying to direct us in which direction we need to go. So, but I don't know. Maybe you guys will hear it pretty soon. We may be playing a couple of the new songs at the shows. Maybe not this weekend, but if you guys happen to come out to Owasso on November the 5th, there's a benefit show for Sleep Signals. We're going to be playing that one, and maybe you'll hear a new song if you come out there. I don't know. Maybe.
You never know.
Never know.
I think to cover a few points you said, like I think it's important before you can move on. I think it's important to obviously revisit what you have to make it, because like I've heard it. It's a fine product, but I think obviously to revisit to make it to remaster it, I think is important because then you can move on. I think smoothly. You don't have to like, oh, we're a few albums deep. Let's remaster this one. I
Right.
think you get that done, and then you could fully move on.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think the right choice right now is to remaster it, especially because I feel like there's a couple of songs on there that are really good, and I feel like they could be radio quality good. We've gotten actually some radio time recently, which is really nice of Z93 to have us on. We're trying to get our some of our stuff on the Q106 also. One of the problems that we have with the radio thing is I use a lot of profanity.
I figured it was that.
Yeah. So, and I use a lot of profanity in my, I'm just that's just the type of person I am, just straightforward. And so, we're going to have to go back when we do the remaster and have a radio edit version of things made, which is another reason to go back and remaster it, because then we can do the radio edit version, and you know what I mean. But yeah, that's the direction that we're going to go right now. But like I said, we have stuff that we are still working on. Again, we're just keeping it in the back pocket. It's right now we're looking at everything objectively, saying, okay, is next year going to be the big year? Is next year going to be open and like everybody's out? Everybody wants to go to festivals and it's safe to, right? And so that's where we're headed, is we want to look forward to next year. So we're kind of keeping everything close to the chest, just to, so we don't spill any beans that we might want to put back later,
Yeah. Well, once you spill the beans, it takes a while to put them back. So
Right.
Or if you squeeze too much toothpaste out, you can't put it back either.
Yeah, no, there's no way that you can't. It's impossible. I mean, you gotta accept your loss at that point. I'll spend another, $2.50 on another tube of toothpaste.
Yeah. All right. Enough with the toothpaste talk. So what could people expect from Frozen Summer musically and lyrically?
I think, like I said, I think there's a kind of a wide range of sounds on there. Ken's a really big blues guitar fan. I mean, he loves Stevie Ray Vaughan. Sometimes he won't shut up about him. He's also a big Eddie Van Halen fan. So Ken and I have a big age gap, but we do listen to a lot of the same music. So our tastes kind of meet in the middle of that. Whereas I really like I said, progressive melodic death metal type of music. Ken is a little bit softer as far as the metal goes. He likes stuff that's right on the edge of like hard rock. He likes some metal, but he likes a lot of the older metal too. He's a big Metallica fan, big Van Halen fan. I was more when I started listening to earlier metal, I was more a fan of Iron Maiden than I was anybody else. Iron Maiden is, in my opinion, probably one of the best groups of musicians that I've seen them live, and I thought they were absolutely amazing. And for 70 years old, Bruce Dickinson absolutely blew me away as a vocalist. I mean, that guy must run like a marathon every day of his life, because as much as he was like back and forth on the stage, never missed a note. For me to watch that, I was in awe of somebody that can do that. But I think
Maiden's still kicking ass too. It's impressive. Like I bought their new album, and I really enjoy it. Like I mean, I enjoy all of my Iron Maiden, but like the new album, it just, I don't know. I just really I maybe because I was like, oh, kind of older. As older bands go on, it's like sometimes albums are hit and miss. But Iron Maiden's been solid. Pretty much start till present.
I mean, if you listen to the early stuff, even Power Slave, you hear music that even now that they're playing on the new album, you can hear stuff that sounds just like Power Slave. So you're like, wow, that's crazy. Like how they just stuck with the same sound and the same genre for so many years, but they're still killing it. Phenomenally. I would say that I think Steve Harris is one of the best bassists on the planet, next to John Campbell from Lamb of God. I think John Campbell's probably the best bassist on the planet, but I think Steve Harris is it's hard to compare the two because Steve Harris, his style is different, you know, but he invented the newer style. So how can you say, you know, how can you say one's better than the other when one invented the newer style? You know, that's hard to say. But I think as far as what I've seen live, John Campbell is an amazing bassist. I mean, the guy can, his hands are gigantic and he can reach things that I could never ever try to do. So, but musically for us, I think there's a lot of different looks. You know, we have it's funny because when we put the album on YouTube, it goes through and classifies stuff, and it's kind of a generalization of classification. You know, people go on there and then I don't know if it asks them like, did you think this was black metal? And then they say yes. I'm not sure, but some of our stuff is like Behind the Mask is labeled as black metal on YouTube. Heroes, which is kind of our little message to Lamb of God, saying, hey, you guys are awesome. But that song is considered heavy metal on YouTube. True Colors, which is a big long story about a lot of people who tried to fuck us over when we first started. That song is classified as metalcore. So like everything is just so different classification wise. But I think it has, like I said earlier, I think it has a little something for everybody. I think it's got you know, some heavy metal, some black death metal. It's got a little bit of poppy stuff, you know. And then really I think what our real sound is, and I think what you're going to hear a lot of coming up is stuff like True Colors, which is kind of more of the metalcore that we started out the idea with. And a lot of the stuff that I'm thinking I'm hearing that doesn't exist yet, but will. A lot of that stuff is definitely more metalcore style. So I think people can expect that from us, and you know we like to have fun with it too. So like I said, we got a cover of Hey Jealousy on there, and I think it's kind of poppy and kind of fun, and we might do another or a couple other like that. But we've already talked about how we don't want to get into doing a lot of covers, but it is kind of fun once in a while to throw something out that everybody's already singing to, you know?
Yeah, it covers. I think it's. I think like one or two like per set or per album, because it's kind of, you know, it's fun. I think enjoyable for obviously you guys to play, but I think it's enjoyable for the listener too, because like, oh, I already know this song. Let's see how let's see what direction they go with it. That's always my question before I hear a cover, is like, where did they go? Did they go straight down the line with it, or did they put their own spin on it?
Right. I mean, everything that we would cover, we would always put our own spin on. You know, that's kind of our thing, is like, we don't want to do anything that anybody else has done. So when we do look for covers, like cover song ideas, we always look for ones that, like, if you go on YouTube and search like, you know, such and such metal cover, you won't find anything. And Hey Jealousy was one of them. There's a few others that I think we may throw out there pretty soon, but again, you know, we try to keep everything kind of under wraps until we're going to throw it out. That way everybody's, you know, surprised by it, like, oh man, I definitely want to check this out then. So, but yeah, I think be watching our page real soon. We're going to have something, we're going to drop something here. Let's say before the end of the year. Let's put it that way. Before the end of the year, we'll have something for everybody to hear. How about that?
Well, I do like that, and I will leave links for Misery Lane, there we go, in the description of this podcast, because the beauty of technology, I'm able to do that. But it's funny, I believe on iTunes, Frozen Summer, I believe it's classified as hard rock, I believe, on iTunes.
Hey, I'm not surprised by that either. Like I said, all of the like automatic classifications or categorizations for things, it seems like they're all over the place for every different song. So hard rock, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think we're a little more metal than hard rock, but some of our stuff's, yeah, a little more hard rock than it is metal. So
I was gonna go metal, like with just if I had a blanket cover like the whole thing, I would say it's various forms of metal is what I would say.
Yeah.
But
I
obviously,
always
that doesn't
tell,
fit in a genre.
yeah, when people ask what genre we are, I literally will always say multi-genre metal. That way, it kind of covers everything. It's easier than saying like, well, we've kind of got metalcore, we've kind of got black metal, we've kind of got death metal, we've kind of got heavy metal, and then we do covers of pop. You know,
And
so
there you go. That'd be funny to put on a business card. Genres?
right.
Well,
Well, let's talk about this.
that actually might be good. That might be smart, actually.
Right.
But as you said, I know you don't want to spill too much beans or toothpaste, but I do know you guys got some cool shows coming up. I was just notified of one right before this interview started too, for a New Year's Eve bash. But what can people expect from a Misery Lane show?
I would say, well, definitely you can expect to see some other people there. Right?
That's always good.
I mean, we're never going to be the only ones. So everybody could always expect to, you know, hey, if we suck really bad that night, somebody else might be really good. So you should come to our show just in case they're really good. That's the only reason. I mean, that's what
Who's this Misery Lane? I don't know, but I stole a T-shirt from them. That was a reference to before we started this interview too.
As far as what people can expect from the show, we always try to get the crowd involved as much as possible, you know, and like I said earlier, I think there's something in our music that everybody can relate to, something that everybody can hear and say, wow, yeah, okay, yeah, that I really like that, you know, even if they don't like the rest of it, you know, even if they like just one little part, that's all the goal was in the first place. And that is why our music is so from one side to the other diverse, is because that was the idea we had in mind, was let's touch as many people as we can who are fans of music, you know. So at our shows, then we kind of start out everything pretty fast. We do like our faster songs like right away, and try to get the crowd, like give the crowd the opportunity, like, oh man, all right, let's fucking headbang to this shit, let's get a mosh pit going, you know, whatever. And then we kind of slow it down, and we tell everybody that, hey, listen, if you need someone to talk to, that we're always here. And that's not a line that we tell everybody. And I say this at every show. Anybody who's been to the shows knows I always say it at every show, that it's not a line of bullshit that we feed people. You know, if somebody really needs to talk, there's always somebody there. If somebody needs to message our page, message me personally or Ken personally. We've been through so much shit in our lives. We would never be surprised by anybody's story. And the biggest thing for us is we'd rather hear the stories than read the obituaries, right? And I've said that several times too. So anybody who's watching this, anybody who just needs somebody to talk to, just somebody to listen. I mean, it doesn't even matter if you care about whatever we have to say or anything, you know. It's just the fact that it's better to have someone to talk to than to just hold everything inside until it blows up, and, you know, and then something catastrophic happens in your life. So, like I say at all the shows, you guys can reach us on Facebook, Misery Lane. You can go to our website, which is miserylane.com, or you can send us an email at miserylanemusic@gmail.com. All three places you can get a hold of us somehow. And like I said, if you need somebody to talk to, even if it's just somebody to talk to, we'll never judge anybody. We would rather listen than have to hear about it later, you know. So, but then after that part of the show, we kick everything back up. We do a couple little bit of the harder songs, and then we finish with True Colors, which is kind of our flagship thing. So
yeah, definitely. I know I got to get out to a show at some point. Definitely, hopefully sometime soon, because I definitely hear a lot of great things about you guys, especially live. So definitely look forward to that. I will leave the link to the Facebook page and the website in the description, as I said. But as I'm really wrapping up this interview, so you kind of hinted at a few things to close out 2021 and the future plans for 2022. But what's kind of the plan right now, without giving too much away, to close out the year?
I think the plan to close out the year is to do some of the bigger nights for shows. We're looking for a couple of shows still to schedule. As you said, you just got a notification that we got a show coming up. I'm thinking the one you're talking about is for New Year's Eve in Fort Wayne at Pierre's. It's not actually, it is Pierre's, but it's a venue inside of it. Yeah, so yeah, they're opening up like their back venue, and I think this is actually going to be like the first show there after they open it up. So it's going to be really cool. Blacktop
Mojo was supposed to play that, but then I think people was like, "Why is Blacktop Mojo playing a smaller place?" And they're like, "You're right, we're going to move that."
Yeah, I think there were a few things that were kind of recently that have been going on with the booking at Pierre's. I'm not 100% sure what's going on with their the staff that they're doing with their booking, but I know we've had a few shows that have either gotten moved or canceled like recently. So they may be going through a transitional period with something or someone, I'm not sure, but I know there was a few things that kind of got mixed up in translation. But yeah, so I think for the rest of the year, we've got our next show next weekend, next Friday. Well, I guess it is Monday. I'm sorry. I live on the weekends. I'm sorry. This is my time to not be like a rock star. This is my normal lifetime, so I lose track of time. But so on Friday, we're gonna be in Akron, Ohio, at the Vortex, which I hear great things about. I hear great things about the promotion that's doing it, Teardrop Promotions. But past that, we've got the November 5th Sleep Signals Benefit Show in Owasso, which I'm hoping to see a lot of people out there just so that we can help those guys out. For people that don't know, they got into a really bad bus accident. They lost pretty much all of their gear, and even some members of the band were so badly injured they had to have limbs amputated.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did hear about that. Yeah,
that's why we're doing the show. That's why we want to help. Jesse Wells is the one who's putting it on. I'm not exactly sure the promotional agency that she's using, but she's a good friend, and I hope that we get a lot of people out there so that we can support this band, because if we were in the same situation, I'd hate to think that, we'd have to ask for the same type of thing. So we're hoping to see a good turnout for that one. I think we're going to be looking for another show or two around Thanksgiving, but the next one after November the 5th is November the 27th in Grand Rapids at Turnstiles. So that'll be our first time playing there. That'll be kind of an interesting gig. I think there's a big kind of multi-genre there. We've got like 19 Till Dawn is there, which we just played with at the Music Factory. They were really good.
Yeah, they're cool dudes. I'm friends with them.
Yeah, super awesome dudes. But 19 Till Dawn is there, and Venom of Virtue, which is another. I think they're a little bit kind of more rock or hard rock. So that's kind of a multi-genre event that's going on there. And then our New Year's Eve show in Fort Wayne. Beyond that, I think we probably may play a couple more shows this year, but it all depends on date and times because holidays and families, and we all kind of we're, like I said, we're kind of gearing up, so we're taking our time now, where we're going to be backing off of the constant every weekend or twice, 3 times a week shows. We're going to back off of that and go to a show every couple of weeks or one show a month or whatever, until we get everything kind of moving in the next direction for 2022, which is I think playing in a lot of different places. So far this year, we played in 4 states. and it was really great. Every single show, the venues having us out, and all of the people who showed up and the bands. But I think next year we're looking at a few more states, maybe a big handful of states. Who knows? But that's what we're gearing up for, is trying to take our family time, trying to take our home time right now, and get everything ready for what could possibly be the next big chapter of our lives and the life of the band. So I can't guarantee there will be a new album next year, but I am 99% sure it's going to happen. Barring any, yeah, I mean, that's pretty high. There's a pretty high estimated chance, right? So, but yeah, barring anything catastrophic happening, I am almost 100% certain that we will have a new album next year, and that you guys will get to see us with some bigger names than we are. So
I definitely look forward to that. I'm going to leave some of those the event links in the description as well. Definitely check them out. Definitely see them live, hang out with them, chat with them, because they're really nice guys, as I'm chatting here right now, almost for an hour, 50 minutes right now. So Ed, thank you so much for hanging out with me here on Super Cool Radio. Please check out Stream Support. Give a like to Misery Lane. Definitely check them out next year, and they may or may not drop an album, but we'll have to see about that.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having us on here, Matthew, and thanks for everything that you do for us, for all of the local bands, and not even just local. I've seen you've had bands that we've played with in other states that aren't even from here on your show, and I think that's fucking awesome too. And yeah, if you come to our show, okay, another thing to expect when you come to the show, I say fuck and shit a lot, okay? Those two words, those are major vocabulary of mine. So yeah. Anyway, you're fucking awesome, Matthew. Thank you so much for having us on here.
Of course, for Ed of Misery Lane, I am your host as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching Super Cool Radio. Stay frosty.